Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista. I have had an insanely busy weekend. Well, not insanely, but it was definitely really busy. On Saturday, we processed all of our turkeys, and that was a day. It was very difficult because unfortunately our plucker, like we have this automated plucker that just does it for us, and it does not work with the turkeys because the turkeys are way too big for it. So I had to hand pluck all of the turkeys, which is a huge task. So Saturday I was exhausted from doing that. We put the turkeys in the freezer, we let them rest for 24 hours, and then Sunday was my day to part all of the turkeys out because we don't eat like a full roasted turkey unless it is like the holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas. So I did save 2 whole birds for those. But I part the rest out because we love ground turkey. That is actually our favorite type of meat. So making burgers with that and just using it as you would ground beef. So I've got a whole bunch of that ready. I got the drumsticks out because we love having smoked turkey drumsticks. It's just amazing. Anyways, parted that all out. One thing I got started on Sunday when I was parting it all out was I got a huge roaster pot full of broth started. So it's in there. It's been going for 48 hours, so it is ready to get canned up today. So I'm gonna take you guys along with me, show you how I did that. I also canned up some more chickens, but you can definitely do this with turkey. The reason I thought I would actually put this video out right now is because Thanksgiving's coming up and turkeys are starting to go on sale everywhere. So if you can find a turkey on sale, you could do all of these things with it, and you could actually take that discounted meat right now, like buying it when it's on sale, and you can actually preserve it and use it throughout the year when turkey gets to be more expensive, let's say in the summer. Like you really can't find turkey very many places. So you can do all of your preservation right now. So I'm gonna show you guys how I take a turkey and pretty much preserve it. So we'll go through the stock, we'll go through canning it. I'm not gonna show you how to do the freezer stuff or parting it out because some people, honestly, they don't wanna see meat being parted out, and I understand that. For somebody that doesn't live on a homestead and has never really been around it, it can kind of be a little bit off-putting. So I'm not gonna show you any of that stuff. I'm just gonna show you pretty much what you can do is if you get a turkey from the store, what you can do with it, how to preserve it. So we're gonna do that today. But first thing, I actually need to go out to my local creamery. I am almost out of my cream and my milk is almost gone, so we need to go and pick up some more of that. I think I shut the front door, I'm not sure. Now, the place that we're going to pick up my milk, I think I've actually taken you guys along with me before when we've gone to pick it up, but it is an honor system place. It is a little country store. It's a pretty big creamery, but it's actually a family-owned business, and they have a little tiny honor system storefront. So we're gonna go and pick up our milk. But one thing I need to do is just get my empties. You have to return your bottles when you go there to get the new stuff. So I'm gonna get my bottles all put into the truck. I'm trying to think of how much I actually need. I think I need to get a gallon of milk. We don't drink a lot of milk. I honestly just use it for cooking and baking. We don't just drink milk like by the glass. It's not really our thing. We do drink chocolate milk, and they have the best chocolate milk. So I'll show you guys when we get there. So I need cream. I'm just gonna bring another one of these. Okay. The other thing too is they only take cash, so I always have to make sure I have my cash on me, and I need to go get my truck keys. We are here. Gotta get my milk out. They're doing some stuff over here, so hopefully I can film in here. So the store has a cooler along one wall, and these are some of the prices that they have. So we ended up getting a half gallon, which was $3, and then a quart of cream, which is $6, which is still a really good price for these things. And then if you don't have the bottles, you just have to pay a deposit. Here is the chocolate milk. It's just so delicious. And normally these shelves are completely full of products, but I think it's because they are closed on Monday and this was was a Tuesday. They just haven't had a chance to restock, but they have lots of stuff like cheese and butter. And this was a new thing they had. They had some lard. It's just an honor system here. Write it down, put your returns. One thing I love about this place is that they have a whole bunch of just local small businesses that bring their stuff here and then they sell it. So like you see there, they have some elderberry syrup. They also have maple syrup. They usually have quite a bit of honey, and then they just have their merch that they sell. Now, one really cool thing is that they actually sell cows. So you can purchase, I don't know if you've seen it, they had a sign up on the cooler, but you can actually purchase a half cow, quarter cow from them, and they have their price listed, but they sell individual cuts as well. And just here's some more things that they have from local small people. But I just love coming here. This is such a good local resource. Prices actually went up since I've last been here. It looks like they went up about $1, but they are still fairly good prices. This particular business sells to like Whole Foods and like all of the local grocers around here, and it is twice as much money if I were to go to Whole Foods and pick up these. It's still a really good deal me driving out here. It's really cool too. They just got a card reader in there, which now I can pay with debit, because before I always had to have exact cash. Because it's an honor system, nobody actually works at the desk there, so I always have to come with exact change. So it's really nice to have a card system now. So I was able to pay with my debit card, which amazing. Okay, so let's get going home and then we will get started on the painting project. I want to show you guys this really cool pond that we drive by to go here. I don't know if you can see it because of the trees. Just sunbathing. We call this Turtle Pond every time we drive by it. It's just a little area where the turtles like to sunbathe. We are back home and I want to show you guys what the yard looks like. I don't know if you can see all the feathers over there. Look at all of the feathers here. The yard is just covered in them. I might as well just show you guys since we're out here. I pulled everything out of here. Sorry, there's a helicopter. I pulled everything out of here. So the garden needs to get tilled. Some of our strawberries are coming up. We planted all 3 of these beds with strawberries, and unfortunately, these 2 beds didn't take. So I'm gonna have to get some bare roots in the spring and get those planted. I did not pick this. I just left it because I forgot about it. And this is fun. We still have some tomatoes. Yummy, little garden snack. I have some broccoli and cauliflower planted back here. And then I have some random carrots. I have some carrots that actually took, so I'm excited about those. Let's get this milk inside. We'll get it put away. I'm gonna put one of them in the garage fridge because we don't need them both in the other fridge. Right, and then we will put another one of our creams in this fridge as well. And then these will go in the inside fridge. Grab my 4 little measly tomatoes that we just picked out there. Put them right over here. This is my water bath canner. I'm just gonna use this to drain the stock off in. I'm gonna take this out though. Put that over here, then put this in the sink. And then I'm also using my sink strainer. I love it because it has these things. So we're just gonna put this across here. And then I have a really big stainless steel bowl here. I'm just gonna use this for all the scraps, and the scraps go to the chickens. So I'm gonna turn the roaster oven off. Take the lid off. One way I get a nice clear stock is I use this stuff. It's kind of like I don't know the name for it. I'll leave it below. I think it's like muslin cloth. I can't remember what it is. You can use a couple thick layers of like a cheesecloth as well, but this helps kind of get some of the debris and it results in a really nice clear stock. Oh, we'll just, I've got this turned off. I'll just unplug it so it's not super hot, and then we'll just get this strained. So while I get this strained, I'll show you guys how I actually got this started, and I will include that clip right here. We started making the broth with our turkey carcasses. So these are what the bones were after I was done picking all of the meat off of it and getting all of the parting out done. So if you're using like a roasted chicken, you would just take the carcass after you're done eating the chicken and then just throw it in the pot. If you have beef soup bones, put them in the pot. So because I'm not making a bone broth, I'm actually making a stock. I'm gonna add vegetables to this. So I always collect my vegetable scraps and just leave them in the freezer for these particular times when I'm making the stock. So I'm gonna add some of those frozen vegetables. I'm gonna put in some onions, some celery, and some carrots. And then I'm just going to completely fill this roaster oven full of water. Once you get all the water added in, then you're gonna come in and add some peppercorns. For this size roaster, I probably used about a tablespoon of black peppercorns and then about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar just helps the bones just kind of release their healthy stuff into the stock. You don't have to use it. I've just read that that makes it a little bit more better. So I'm gonna get everything all combined in there, and then I'm gonna turn my roaster oven on to a low heat. The key with making a really good stock or bone broth is just to let it cook for a fairly long time on a very low temperature. So I like to cook mine at about 250 to 300 degrees for about 48 hours. So this is what it looked like after 24 hours, and I just felt that it needed to go a little bit longer, so I left it another day. Okay, just try to move this stuff around a little bit just so that that liquid can get through the bottom. Then we have our scrap bowl here. Just squeeze out as much liquid as I can and put this in here. You know what? I'm actually going to use this for a second straining. I like to strain my broth out twice. That way I can make sure that it gets really clean. So I think what I'll do for the first run through is I'll actually leave this out. That way I can make sure that I'm getting all of the liquid in here. And then when we go through the second strain, then I will use this. Show you one way you can tell if your broth is kind of ready is if the bones just like snap like this. Like there's nothing really left in these bones. I could probably even let this go a little bit longer and these bones would break down even more, but it's been 2 days, so I just want to get it canned up. Oh, here's a good example. Let me do this without making a huge mess. See how it just like crumbles? It's just, there's not a lot left in it. One thing I've done in the past is I've taken my bones and put them in the dehydrator and dehydrated them completely, and I made a really good bone meal with it and put it on my garden. If you really want to use like absolutely every single part of it, that is a really good thing to do after you get done with this stage. I finished straining everything with this stuff, so that's all set aside. I poured the stock back into here, and so we're gonna do the second straining now. And I only do this because I like a really clean stock. I don't like little debris in it. So I rinsed everything out really good, and we will do this again. You gotta start scraping the bottom at this point because all that settlement starts to settle and it doesn't strain as good. I'm gonna go right from here to canning it. If you are canning a overly fatty chicken or beef, I would highly recommend actually letting that stock come to room temperature, or even actually putting it in the fridge overnight and letting the fat just harden on top of it. You do not want to can broth that has a lot of fat in it. It can compromise the seal. So you want to make sure that you can scrape off as much as that fat as possible. The reason I'm going right to the canning process with this is because I am using turkeys that were very, very lean. There was hardly any fat on them at all. So I could even tell when I did the first strain of this stock, there was not going to be a lot of fat in it. So I am completely comfortable with just canning it right from here. But again, if you are doing beef, I highly, highly recommend letting it sit in the fridge overnight and letting that tallow just kind of rise to the top and then just scrape it off. And then what you would do is just reheat up that stock once you scrape the tallow off, and then you can can it from there. But again, because there's not a lot of fat on this, we're just gonna skip to the next step. I've definitely canned some broth from chickens also that had a lot of fat in it, and I did the same thing. You just really wanna get that fat to harden and then remove it before you can it. Okay, so we're gonna finish straining this and then I will show you the next step. I just went outside to give the chickens the scraps, and one of the chickens got out. I have these fancy gray chickens. I cannot remember the breed of them. We got them at Rural King and they were about $10 a chick. They're like these fancy breeds that lay these beautiful, beautiful like robin blue eggs. Anyways, one of them got out. So when I went to give them the scraps, I'm pretty good with using a fishing net and I can get them pretty good. But this one was just really, really flighty. It ended up flying back into our back pasture. We have about 6 acres in the back and we don't have a working tractor right now, so it hasn't been bush hog. Anyways, the grass is up to my waist. I can't find the chicken. It is pretty much gone. We have such bad hawks here and coyotes. Hopefully it comes back to the coop tonight. Last week I tried to clip some of their wings and I only got to about 3 of the birds. I just didn't have time to do the other ones because it was just me doing it. I messaged Steven and I said, tonight we need to clip all of those birds' wings because we cannot have them flying out. Especially if we're out of town for work, I can't have those birds out and get attacked by predators. So anyways, I went outside, weed whacked to try to find this bird, and I just gave up and just said, I'm gonna wait until Steven gets home. Hopefully it'll come back to roost tonight. The stalks had a little opportunity to cool down a little bit, so I am just going to scrape off the tiny little bit of fat that's on the top. I need to get a bowl because I am not putting this down my drain. I'm just like lightly skimming the little tiny bit that there is. I also turned this on to a high heat. I'm just gonna bring it up to a boil really quickly. So I'm gonna use this canning book as my reference for today. And we are gonna go to page, where are you? Vegetables, beef stock. We got chicken stock in here. It is on page 401. So we are bringing this back up to temperature. This is a pressure canning recipe. We're gonna can these in quart-sized jars. I have a whole bunch of pints already done, so I wanna get some quarts done. So I've got my jars warm. I've got my Presto pressure canner here, getting the water warm. And then I have my electric pressure canner here because I don't know how much stock we're actually gonna have. So I may have to use 2 pressure canners for this. I'm gonna get this plugged in. I already got the water in here, so this is a pressure canning one, and we are doing quarts, so we need to can these for 25 minutes. So I'm just gonna put 25 in here, press start. I'm gonna get the jars and put them in here as well so they can get warm with this water. We are gonna get these canned up. We need to leave 1 inch of head space. We have all of our jars filled to the 1 inch of head space, and I'm just gonna clean the top off really good, just in case there was any of that fat. Get our lids on. so hot. We're gonna get our rings on to fingertip tight. We're gonna get these put into the pressure canner. Just gonna check everything on here, make sure everything's good. Get this on here, get it turned back up, and then we will wait until this little thing pops here. These jars are ready in this one, so we'll get these filled up and then get this guy going. So I have both of the canners filled and going, so we're gonna let them do their thing. So because we're doing quarts, we are going to process these for 25 minutes. If you're doing pints, you process them for 20 minutes. And again, I'm just following the directions in this canning book on page 401. So yesterday I processed a little bit of our meat here. If you have a cooked turkey, you could do this. If you have leftover rotisserie chicken, or if you just want to get a whole bunch of rotisserie chicken and canned chicken, that's a perfect way to do it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I really want to show you guys how you can optimize sales at your grocery store and can stuff and put it on your pantry shelf. That way, when things aren't on sale or they are definitely not cheap to buy, you have preserved it all when it was cheap. That's a really budget-friendly way to be able to build your pantry up. Yesterday, I canned some of this meat up, so I'm going to include the clip here and show you guys how absolutely easy it is to can chicken or beef. So in this particular situation, we're doing turkey, but you would can chicken the exact same way. Again, in this canning book, and this one is on page 400. And this is how you would can either chicken, duck, goose, turkey, or any type of game bird. It's so very simple. I used this Presto pressure canner to can those, and it honestly makes it like so simple. If you are just getting into canning, I could not recommend those countertop canners like enough. They work amazing. It is really just an easy process. Now, I did just go and check what we canned yesterday, and I don't know if you can hear it. This one didn't seal. We got a seal on these. You can hear the difference. Hear the difference between the two of them. That's how come you know which one's sealed. So I have 2 pints of meat that I have to get used up tonight. So I'm thinking tonight I might do some chicken enchiladas because I love using canned chicken in those recipes. Canned chicken also is amazing if you want to make up a really quick batch of chicken noodle soup. Sorry, I just came in here and I noticed that my thing is up. So we have to let that vent for 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes we can come and put the weighted gauge on it. I will leave this also linked for you guys in the video description. If you have this Presto canner, you can actually buy a weighted gauge and it will keep it at the pressure that it's supposed to be at. So I am 10 pounds of pressure where I live, so I have the 10-pound weight on it, but it does come with, I believe, another 5-pound weight that you can add if you need to go up to 15 pounds of pressure. Love it. It was a complete game changer when I got it because I can kind of walk away from it and just know that it's going to hold steady. Before, when I was doing canning, I would literally sit in front of my stove, get a book, and just watch that dial gauge to make sure that it didn't go over or under. Because I have an electric stove top, the heat does not stay consistent, whereas I find if you have a gas one, it stays a little bit more consistent. That is one thing I'm actually surprised about, that I've not had any comments. I have a glass top stovetop. I use a pressure canner on it. Perfectly fine. I also use cast iron on my glass stovetop, and it is perfectly fine. As long as you don't like smash stuff down, it works fine for that. So if that is one of your concerns with the canners, they work fine with that. So I'm gonna get these chicken cleaned up. We'll get them put in the fridge, and I will come back once these canners beep and that broth is ready to come out. Oh, and I guess I didn't tell you guys, I started explaining about canning chicken. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm actually gonna include the clip showing you guys how easy it is to do the chicken, because I did film it yesterday. So I'm gonna include that clip in here, and we will be back once these pressure canners are done and that broth is ready to come out. This recipe works amazing if you have leftover chicken or you just find chicken on sale and you want to cook it and can it. You can also do this with raw meat. So if you find chicken on sale or turkey on sale and you don't even want to bother cooking it first, you can actually raw pack this. Now the directions are in that Ball canning book on page 400 and it tells you how to do it step by step. They're a little bit different than how I'm doing it because I pre-cooked my chicken. So I'm going to fill these jars up and we're going to leave 1 inch of headspace in them. This is a room temperature jar. This is room temperature chicken. So everything I'm keeping at exactly room temperature. None of these items are hot or overly cold. So I'd actually run out of chicken. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have an even amount of chicken in all of my jars. This amount was actually 3 fairly small chickens. Like I would say maybe about 3-pound birds at max. And I got 4 pints out of that amount of chicken. So you can get quite a bit of meats put into 1 jar. So I'm going to top these jars up with some room temperature water. You can use broth in this if you would like. It would definitely add a more flavor profile. I just use water because it turns into chicken broth after the canning process anyways. So you want to debubble, and then once you debubble, just readjust your headspace so that you have that full 1 inch headspace, and then make sure you clean the tops really, really well. I cannot stress that enough. I don't think that I actually got these clean enough, and that's why I ended up having jar failures. I don't think it had anything to do with the lids or anything. I think it was because I didn't clean it enough. So just make sure that you really wipe this clean and you have no chicken and no fat, no nothing like that on it. So we are going to add our lids and we're going to put our rings on to fingertip tight. And this is a pressure canning recipe and this does take quite a bit to pressure can it. So we are going to use our countertop pressure canner because it really just does everything for me and I just have to press button once in a while and it just, because it takes so long to can, I really like using this thing. So this is 75 minutes because we are doing a boneless chicken. If you are doing quarts, it's going to be 90 minutes. If you are doing a bone-in chicken, it's actually only 65 minutes. But again, all of these directions are in that cookbook. So after the 75 minutes, I took them out and they're just nice and bubbly and hot still. I was so sad that I had 2 jar failures, but again, you'll see later on in the video, we actually used them up. So that was pretty nice to have that already pre-done. Our pressure canner just came down from pressure, so we are going to get it emptied out. So I already took off this part, the weight. I took that off. Let's get it opened. Just to let you know, I actually let this rest at least 15 minutes before I actually took the lid off. Once I heard the little valve go down, I just let it rest for 15 minutes and now I'm gonna take the jars out. All right, so this one is just doing its cool down. So that has 10 more minutes to cool down. Then once that's cooled down, we'll get those jars out and sitting on that cloth as well. I thought since we had those jar failures and I have some time, I'm gonna show you guys how I use that chicken to make an enchilada. So we are going to use some of our home canned enchilada sauce that we canned together. I'll leave that video linked for you guys if you want to see how I canned it. It's such an easy recipe to do. I just shredded up a whole bunch of white cheddar cheese. One cheese that is really good to use in this is a pepper jack. I just don't have any, so I'm just going to use those. And then we are going to get some of our home canned mild green chilies to use in this as well. Just gonna use some Walmart tortillas. I've had these in my freezer for a really long time, so they need to get used. They are completely thawed out, so hopefully this will be enough for this recipe. I have my oven preheated. Sorry, my canner's done. Get these out first. We we got those jars all emptied out. So we are gonna take our chicken. Now mine is cold because it was in the fridge. See, it definitely was not sealed. That just came right off. I have a medium-sized bowl. We're gonna take our canned chicken and we're just gonna empty it out into this medium-sized bowl. Now all of this water in here, because we canned it in water as you've seen in the previous clip, it's now like a chicken broth, but we don't need that. That's really good to save to use in a recipe that you would need chicken broth. I think one jar will be enough for this. So we're gonna take a can of our enchilada sauce and we're gonna dump most of it in here. Just gonna leave about this much in the jar. And just stir this in. Just get that chicken all coated with the enchilada sauce. And then I'm gonna add a handful of cheese. I would say that that's maybe about 3/4 cup of cheese. And then I'm just gonna stir it in. Actually, we'll add a full cup. We'll add about a cup of cheese in here. Getting everything stirred. And now we'll take our diced green chilies and I'm gonna add them in here as well. And these are just a mild one. You can use hot if you want to make them a little bit more spicy. Now I have a 9x13 baking dish and we're just gonna add a little bit of olive oil to the bottom of it. Just get it coated. Now you can warm your tortillas up if you want. It just makes them a little bit more pliable, but these are perfectly fine. So we're just gonna take some of our filling. Put probably, I don't know, half a cup, maybe 3/4 cup of filling inside of the tortilla. Just wrap it and then put it seam side down. These tortillas are really needing to be used. They're all crumbly. So I'm gonna make about 4 pretty big enchiladas. Probably could use a smaller dish. I might go and get a smaller baking dish. I'm gonna re-oil this pan. So this pan is a 6? 8x11? Yeah, I think it says 8x11. I can't see it. Let's put a little oil in here. It's just me and Steven tonight, so we don't need a whole bunch. There we go, much better. All right, now we're gonna take the rest of this enchilada sauce and just cover them. I'm debating whether I wanna open another jar because I don't feel like that's enough enchilada sauce. No, we'll just leave this amount. Hopefully it's fine. We are gonna put these in the oven for about 20 minutes and then after 20 minutes we'll come back and then we'll put a nice layer of cheese on it and put them in the oven for a little bit longer. So Steven just got home and he went on a chicken hunt and he found her. So we're gonna clip her wings right now. So this is the escape artist, the one that got away. She's not happy because she just got caught. Oh, she got a little cut on her nose.
She ran into the fence.
Oh no. Makes me so happy that she is nice and safe. So we just clipped her wings and Steven's gonna put her back in there. We just clip one side of the wing, that way she can't get full flight and fly, because when I was chasing her earlier, she was flying pretty high. Anyways, okay, let's wait for our chicken enchiladas. So the oven just went off, so we need to remove these from the oven. Always fog up. Okay. Removed. Okay, so we're gonna get some cheese put on top of these. We like a lot of cheese, so I'm probably gonna end up putting like maybe 1.5 cups of shredded cheese on these. I'll put a little bit of this stuff on here too. I just have some in the fridge, so just put some of that on. Get this put back in for about 10 more minutes, just until the cheese is melted. There we go, chicken enchiladas. Turn the oven off. That meal came together in under 30 minutes. That is why I can stuff. I mean, I love having stuff canned because it does save us a substantial amount of money, but it is also a time saver for me. If I have stuff already pre-cooked and I just really just have to assemble and bake, it's just so quick. So yay for the canned chicken. I'm excited to have that for supper tonight. So that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said at the very beginning, if you can find chicken or turkey or anything like that, even beef on sale, canning it is a really great way to preserve it if you don't have a lot of freezer space. I mean, obviously putting it in the freezer is good, but like for me, I don't want to rely 100% on my freezers because sometimes our power does go out, and also I just don't have a lot of freezer space. So this is my option that I have here, and I love it. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.